lived in Mongolia for 27 months, from the summer of 2016 until the summer of 2018. For 24 of these months, I lived in Hovdsom, a small village with about 1,000 inhabitants. Mongolia can be easily conceptualized by Americans as being divided into 21 states. Unlike America, each state has only one city, though many smaller surrounding villages, called somes. My some was located in Hovd province and, confusingly, was itself called Hovd. Unlike many Peace Corps volunteers, who had to withstand 6 to 8 hours in an old Russian Jeep to reach their city center, I was lucky to live just 40 minutes from our city, which was easily accessible by the taxis that went to and from the center daily. Because of this proximity, I would travel to the city twice a month to restock on groceries and spend a day with friends living in the city before returning to my small some. The bumpy dirt roads stretched across a basin of brown for most of the year. From October to April, temperatures are too cold in Mongolia for anything green to survive, although you could still see goats, sheep, horses, cows, and camels grazing in vain throughout these months. Hovd is located in far western Mongolia, just one province away from Bayan-Olgi, a region so far west that its people are actually Kazakhs who had wandered east from Kazakhstan before borders were drawn. Hovd province itself was populated mostly by Mongolians, but my individual city is one of the few pockets outside of Bayan-Olgi to consist entirely of Kazakh people. This interesting quality of the West had another impact on me. Instead of being able to apply the Mongolian language and cultural skills that the Peace Corps spent 3 months drilling us on during our pre-service training, I was placed in a region where I needed to start, if not from scratch, then close to it.
America.
Another challenging aspect of the West is that this already arid region is also too cold to snow for much of the winter. I envied many of my fellow volunteers their snowy homes that made for picturesque Facebook selfies. Thus, I spent most of my 10 months in a somewhat unremarkable brown landscape. The frozen rivers, however, framed my village beautifully and added a glimmer to this small village buried between the mountains. Of the 1,000 people living in Hoofdstroom, 460 are school children. Children amounted to half of our population because many are sent to the village by their families to live in the school dormitory for the school year, while the family remains in the countryside, herding and caring for their animals. With children making up such a huge percentage of my interactions, it's perhaps unsurprising how many of my memorable moments include them. In the classroom, most students were somewhat quiet and shy, not confident enough in their English to participate actively unless playing a high-energy game that made them forget their inhibitions. Outside of school, it was a different matter, and the children were more comfortable about expressing their curiosity about me.
Mongolia.
Usually, this manifested itself in walking me home from school while sneaking glances at me, or peppering me with questions in Mongolian. Luckily, with my 3 months of training in the language, and their school starting to teach them this language in first grade, we could communicate a little. Other students preferred to yell, "Hi," "Hello," or "How are you?" at me from a distance, as these were the only 3 phrases I had been able to teach them in the early months. Some days this would drive me crazy, as my patience was already worn thin from keeping classrooms in check all morning.
Hello, how are you? They finally stopped, it would appear, but those 2 girls and a group of children with them have been following me since I left school. It's been about a 10-minute walk now, saying hello as if it was a very important message that I somehow wasn't receiving. And I think they've successfully worn themselves out, although I wouldn't be surprised if some new stalkers appear before I reach home. Anyways, that's that. Oh, wait. Let's see if we can catch them at it a few more. Oh, there they go. Of course, when I turn the camera on, they stop. Anyways, this is my home.
So yes, sometimes it was really, really annoying. But other times, I found myself loving it.
Hello! 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 Hello!
Hello.
Hello.
Hello. Hello.
How are you?
Good. How are you?
How are you?
How are you?
How are you?
Hi. Woo. Good. How are you? Hello. Hello. Hi. Hi. Hello. Hello.
In the fenced-in area where my yurt stood, there was also one other yurt and a house. In it, there lived 7 other children who became my constant companions, walking me home almost all of the time. Here you can see 4 of them.
Hi.
Hello.
Hi.
Hello.
Hi.
The heightened presence of kids in my life definitely wasn't the only thing I began to adjust to. On my walk home from work, it wasn't uncommon to see people galloping by on horses or to walk in the middle of a herd of wayward goats.
To get water at once.
Additionally, our village, like many in Mongolia, had no running water. So I became adjusted to visiting the chaos at our local well daily. Although I still maintained that a line would serve better than a mob the spigot system, I learned to elbow my way through well enough. When I wasn't being followed around by my students, I was often hanging out with my fellow teachers. At school events, tables were filled with fruits and so-called salads, which were 60% mayonnaise, and shots of vodka. All across Mongolia, the phenomena of group circle dancing pervaded, and my school was no exception. No matter what kind of party you put a Mongolian into, they will find a way to make it into a dance circle, with one poor soul being shoved into the middle at a time.
Why we're dancing? Why are we dancing?
We are dancing for men. Woo!
Whether it be dinner parties for all of the female teachers, or smaller parties just for friends, I soon learned to appreciate how much Kazakh people loved to sing and dance.
Give me those good dance moves. This is Ainagul's birthday 2016. Hey yo! Woo!
At weddings, another style of dance was introduced to me, which looks more like a slow dance until suddenly you're being whirled around like a tornado before falling back into the slower 1-2 step. There's hardly any indication of when the fast spinning will start and stop, basically being timed to when the leader sees an opening on the dance floor to spin into. In more crowded dance floors, this made for bumper car type scenarios, but on more open dance floors, it's a blast. Another note about weddings is that they are far less a friends and family affair, as in America. Instead, the entire community is invited to sing, eat, dance, and give toasts to the bride and groom until well after midnight. I was delighted to be invited to a wedding on the very first night I arrived in Hove, and have been to many since, although I still can't stomach the combination of traditional milk tea and the obligatory shots of vodka. what I definitely have learned is that Mongolia is full of surprises. Whether it be walking into the school gym and happening to find 15 teachers standing around singing karaoke, or the huge differences between summer and winter, what I've learned about this place is a lot, and what I'm sure I'll keep learning is quite a bit more. Thank you for watching my 10-month edit of this Mongolia video. Let me know if there's any other clips you want to see or any other parts of my life I should include. I hope all of you back home are doing very well, and a very special I love you from this Peace Corps volunteer out in Mongolia.